United Kingdom, there are 25 million people at work. Every year, nearly 2.25 million of those people, that's 1 in every 11, will suffer from an illness caused by or made worse as a direct result of their work. Every year, workplace-related illness in the UK loses 13 million working days and costs the economy no less than £3 billion. Worse still, it needn't happen. Managers have it within their power to do something about it.
Occupational health problems are quite different to safety. All of us have a sense of safety and a know to look out for it. All of us know the bad safety record is an indication of a badly functioning factory. Where we don't pay the same attention to occupational health, it's not through malice or anything of that type, it's really because of ignorance, and we just don't think of the problem. And the irony is that it's extremely expensive for the business. We lose not only enormous amounts of time and productivity, but also occupational health caused diseases are a lasting damage to our people.
Preventing the risk of workplace-related illness affecting your people and your productivity is not as daunting as it sounds. You can achieve remarkable results just by following some simple and quite inexpensive guidelines. The first step is simply to make time to look at what's going on. Take a careful walk around your workplace and see the way people are working on a day-to-day basis.
We are constantly walking around the factory area looking at health and safety daily, and that way and we can always we can pick up on the little things as they go wrong.
In many factories there may be manual handling going on, lifting needs to be looked at carefully, and that very simple alterations to the process can make a huge difference to the load on an individual. Similarly, within offices, and the majority of businesses now have VDUs and the like, they need to look very carefully at the workstation design, how it's laid out, and by making very simple modifications, they can make life very much more comfortable for their staff. And there are a whole host of examples like that.
So ask yourself, are any preventive measures already in place up to the job? Or is what your people are doing, what they're using, or what they're breathing, putting their health at risk?
Sort of problems that we come up against, like in most factories, are dust problems, noise problems, lifting problems, nothing out of the ordinary.
Obviously, if your company uses hazardous chemicals, you probably think you know the risks. But there are plenty of chemical-based substances in use that seem harmless enough, but which can cause skin diseases, respiratory and other problems if the proper precautions aren't taken.
Everybody recognises the fact that we use chemicals with regards to our technical services, and so I think there's a greater awareness of the danger and perhaps hazards that are involved there. But with the constant use of hands in water, using detergents, we are very keen to have a working practice which prevents anything like dermatitis, as opposed to waiting till it happens and then reacting against it.
So don't assume you know. If you're in any doubt, consult the manufacturers or talk to your suppliers. But in any case, recheck the labels on all containers and read the data sheets. Some risks are easier to spot than others. For instance, it won't be hard to tell if anyone's at risk from not using the right tools, or where failure to adopt good lifting and handling techniques could be leading to strains or back problems. The sources of dust and other airborne particles that are best extracted may well be very easy to see, but not always. Sometimes it's what you can't see that can do far more respiratory damage.
The operatives were experiencing problems with a smell. They couldn't identify what the smell was. We got an expert in to test the system and found out that it was actually formaldehyde gas which was being produced off the glue line, and we decided to do something about that. So we got the experts in, and they suggested that we put a hood over the machine with an inline fan and duct it to the outside. The operatives said that they noticed a difference, and we were all happy with that.
And there are other hazards which may appear obvious, but which are not always so easy to pinpoint. like sources of noise and vibration.
One thing we are concerned about is angles of the pipe.
So if you think there's a chance of a health risk anywhere in your system but you're not sure, talk to the manufacturers or get some independent expert advice.
I wanted to show you this end. I've been monitoring absenteeism on one of the night crews.
And it's always a good idea to check the sickness records. This will often give a good indication if there's a chance you have got an occupational health problem. But in any case, talk to your people. They'll know better than anyone if they feel their health is suffering as a result of what they do or how they do it.
Or would you prefer doing the same job for 8 hours? Oh, no, not for 8 hours.
Every manager worth his salt goes around his works every day. And certainly when I was a manager, I tried to talk to everybody I was responsible for. And of course, like all of us, I had a mental checklist. I was looking for the things they were doing, seeing what sort of nick they were in. All you have to do is to add a sensible bit of inquiry about their health and a bit of observation about their health. You don't have to hire expensive consultants. 9 times out of 10, when people's performance falls off, is because of health problems, not because they've suddenly gone lazy or gone sour on you.
Retrieving about 87.
Step 2 is deciding what to do. But you can't do that until you've made a clear assessment of the risks you've identified.
Now, our main problem is the turbo here, for noise level.
One of the problems that a printing factory has is noise, and we've, to make improvements in the level of noise, we have removed the noisy air pumps from each of the presses and put them into a soundproof room. This was a relatively inexpensive operation, and we've made a huge reduction in the amount of noise in the machine room.
One of the things that came to light sometime last year was the use of what we call a scissor lift on the door line, which means that it makes it easier to feed doors into the machine by mechanical means, rather than the operative actually handballing things, and it puts less strain on the back and obviously on the limbs.
Assessing the risks involves asking 3 key questions.
Well, what we're trying to do at the moment is actually...
The first question is, how big are the risks? In other words, what are the chances of anyone suffering actual harm, and how serious might that harm be? The second is, who might be at risk? Is it just one individual? Or could others working nearby also be at risk? Could it affect people in other areas? And what about visitors to the company, or even the general public? And the third question is, are any measures you have already put in place to deal with a risk working properly?
I couldn't help but notice when I was going...
When you have the answers to these questions, you'll be in a good position to decide exactly what needs to be done.
I think we've got to accept the fact that the equipment's 5 years old.
Yeah.
It has been financially fully written down.
Yeah.
And from a health and safety aspect, we should upgrade it.
When you found a problem, it's like every other business problem. You had to make a balance between the cost and the cost of putting it right. But you don't need to go for elaborate solutions. You always have to have a cost-benefit analysis, and the simple solution is almost always the best. And the simple solution is stopping whatever it is that's causing the problem.
The third step is taking action, and the best action is to treat the cause, not the symptoms. In other words, try to remove the risk rather than protect people from it. This may mean fitting screens or enclosures to cut down noise, installing apparatus to avoid the need to lift or handle heavy items manually, providing extraction systems to remove dust and fumes, or ensuring the most appropriate tools are always available. It may involve supplying such things as supportive and fully adjustable chairs to office staff, fitting non-reflective lighting or anti-glare screens, and providing foot or hand rests for VDU operators.
Bend the knees and drop the load between, keeping yourself stable at all times.
Or it may need no more than a little training to ensure that people don't expose themselves to unnecessary health risks.
Most employers, when they take on new staff, train people on how to do the job. But I think they can take that a little bit further in telling them how to lift more carefully and more appropriately in doing their job, and also to identify problems should they arise with the equipment they're working with. I think it's very important for employers to train all their employees appropriate to the tasks that they're going to do.
Involved with handling the chemical.
Follow the instructions, most important thing of all.
Sometimes all you can do is provide personal protective equipment, or PPE as it's commonly known, such as gloves or overalls. But PPE should always be seen as the last resort, not the first option, because it only protects the wearer, and then only if it's the right kind and worn correctly.
Like everything else in business, an ounce of prevention is worth far more than the cure. And the interesting thing is it really is a quality problem. If you remove the source of the problem, be it excessive noise, be it fumes or whatever it may be, you actually find you improve not only the quality of the health, but the quality of the process and the quality of the people.
The fourth and final step is to set up a procedure for regularly checking what you have done. It's basically a matter of combining health management into your other established management practices. So it's about setting targets, progressing towards them, and maintaining your achievements. For example, you might target reduced absence from work and monitor your success by regular reference to the sickness records. Your target may be the use of PPE 100% of the time, monitored by regular spot checks. And here it pays to set an example. Always be seen to wear the correct protection, no matter how briefly you're exposed to the risk. Or you might set a target for increased productivity and monitor the rate of output over a 12-month period.
Like everything else in management, we have to check continuously that the actions we're taking are having the effects that we expect of them. And this is an ongoing process, it's not a one-off. But quite apart from anything else, you also get the satisfaction of seeing the real payback you're getting from this, because you should see reductions in absenteeism, reductions in sickness. You should also see improvements in consistency and the quality of work, let alone having a much healthier and happier workforce.
Effective health risk management needn't be difficult. It's so often just a matter of good management and common sense. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. It's a question of matching your action to the scale of the risk. But one thing is certain. Whatever kind of business you're in, whatever action you decide to take, the effort you put into reducing the risks to health in your workplace will repay you in many different ways.
At one time we did have a major health problem. We were losing people weekly with chest problems through the dust, through the crumb and the fume, and especially with the back strains through a lack of lifting equipment. And there has been a good improvement. It was a good investment, definitely.
I'm not here to tell you that you'll always save money. Yeah, sure, there'll be costs, but there are savings within the business as a result of doing things properly, which will help towards that cost.
First and foremost, from the staff point of view, they perceive us to be looking after them, not only monetarily, but health-wise as well. And that's very important.
You have to look after the people that work for you. There's a lot of kudos involved in having a good, healthy working environment. We can show our workshop to all our clients and the consultants who work for them with a clear conscience. We will not experience any problems, and nobody can criticise us for lack of care.
Everything in business depends on your people. If you look after your people, there's a sporting chance they'll look after you. If you're not interested in them, if you expose them to risks they don't have to go to, if you don't notice and take corrective action when you find something is going wrong, you're not looking after your business, you're not looking after your people, and you're not much of a man either.